What if I told you there's a hole in Washington state that could be more than just a natural anomaly, a hole that some believe is a gateway to another dimension? It sounds like something out of science fiction, but the legend of Mel's Hole has captivated and confounded people for decades, blending elements of folklore, science, and the supernatural into a mystery that refuses to fade. The story begins in 1997, when a man named Mel Waters called into the popular late-night radio show, Coast to Coast AM. What he described was astonishing, an apparently endless pit on his property near Ellensburg, Washington. Mel claimed to have unspooled over 80,000 feet of fishing line into the abyss without finding the bottom. But that wasn't all. Strange things reportedly happened around the hole. Objects thrown into its depths seemed to disappear into another reality, some reappearing in bizarre forms or not at all. There were tales of animals behaving strangely near the site, and even accounts of a neighbor's dog, presumed dead, inexplicably returning to life after being lowered into the pit. Overnight, Mel's Hole became a sensation. People began to wonder, could it really be a portal to another dimension? If so, what might lie beyond? Was this an entrance to another world, a rift in space-time, or something even more unimaginable? Yet just as quickly as it emerged, the story was clouded by doubt. No records of Mel Waters or his property exist in the area, and despite numerous attempts to locate the hole, no one has ever definitively proven its existence. Was it all an elaborate hoax, a piece of performance art, or is there something darker at play? Government cover-ups, experimental physics gone wrong, or secrets too dangerous to be revealed? This is not just the story of a mysterious pit, it's a challenge to our understanding of reality itself. Today, we'll delve into the strange history of Mel's Hole, explore the scientific impossibilities of a bottomless pit, and dissect the mind-bending theories of interdimensional travel. We'll examine the cultural impact of this legend and ask the critical questions. Why are we so drawn to mysteries like this? And if it were true, what would it mean for our world? But before we dive in, consider this. If a hole existed that could lead to another dimension, would you dare to look inside? Would you step closer to the edge, or take the plunge? The legend of Mel's Hole begins with a phone call. A single enigmatic broadcast that sent ripples through the worlds of conspiracy, science, and the supernatural. On the night of February 21, 1997, a man calling himself Mel Waters dialed into Coast to Coast AM, a late-night radio show famous for delving into the strange and unexplained. His calm, methodical recounting of events painted a picture so extraordinary that listeners were captivated almost immediately. Mel explained that the mysterious hole was located on his property in a remote area near Ellensburg, Washington. It wasn't just deep, it was, he claimed, bottomless. Local residents, including himself, had long used the pit as a dumping ground. It was the kind of place where old furniture, dead animals, and unwanted junk were casually discarded, swallowed effortlessly by the void. For years, it was little more than a convenient garbage pit. But over time, its peculiar nature began to draw attention. Mel described an incident that piqued his curiosity. After throwing items into the hole, he noticed that he never heard them hit the bottom. There was no echo, no splash, just silence. His fascination grew, and he decided to measure the pit's depth. Using an old fishing rod and spool of line, he attached a weight and began lowering it into the abyss. The line unspooled endlessly, eventually exceeding 80,000 feet, over 15 miles, without hitting anything solid. To put this into perspective, even the deepest man-made hole, the Kola Super Deep Borehole in Russia, reached only about 40,230 feet before extreme conditions made further digging impossible. This discovery alone was staggering, but it was just the beginning. Mel recounted eerie stories tied to the hole. A neighbor reportedly threw his deceased dog into the pit, only to see the same dog, alive, wandering the property days later. Other locals mentioned odd sensations when standing near the edge, describing it as if the air itself were charged with an invisible energy. Birds were said to avoid the site entirely, steering clear even when in flight overhead. Mel's tale struck a chord with listeners. It wasn't just the outlandish claims, it was the sincerity in his voice, the vivid detail of his descriptions. He wasn't a showman, he was a man who seemed genuinely puzzled and even disturbed by what he'd discovered. The radio broadcast became an instant phenomenon, spreading like wildfire across forums, news outlets, and coffee shop conversations. But as with all extraordinary claims, the skeptics soon emerged. Investigators and journalists scoured Kittitas County for records of Mel Waters and his property. They found nothing, no land deeds, no property taxes, no trace of a man named Mel Waters in the area. Geologists pointed out that a pit of such depth would almost certainly be impossible. The intense heat and pressure deep within the earth would cause the walls to collapse long before reaching 80,000 feet. Undeterred, Mel doubled down on his claims. He alleged that the U.S. government had taken an interest in the hole and forcibly seized his property. He claimed they fenced off the area, installed guards, and barred him from returning. In exchange, he said, they paid him a substantial sum and arranged for his relocation to Australia. This added an entirely new layer to the mystery. Was the government hiding something about the hole? If so, why? As Mel's story gained traction, other reports of similar phenomena began to surface. Listeners called into radio shows with their own accounts of strange, seemingly bottomless pits, some describing odd sounds emanating from the depths, others claiming time distortions or inexplicable changes to objects lowered into the void. These stories added to the allure of Mel's Hole, transforming it from a local curiosity into a global mystery. Over the years, the legend has been woven into the fabric of modern folklore. It's been dissected by skeptics, embraced by believers, and immortalized in countless discussions about the unknown. Yet despite the scrutiny, the location of Mel's Hole has never been definitively identified. Was Mel a hoaxer spinning an elaborate tale for attention? Or was he a reluctant witness to something extraordinary, silenced by forces beyond his control? To this day, Mel's Hole remains an enigma, a story that lingers in the margins of plausibility, daring us to question the boundaries of what we know. Could it be real? Or is its true purpose simply to ignite the imagination, reminding us that not all mysteries are meant to be solved? The story of Mel's Hole is extraordinary, but how does it hold up to scientific scrutiny? For a hole to extend tens of thousands of feet into the earth without collapsing, it would need to defy nearly every principle of geology and physics as we understand them. To unravel the mystery, let's examine the science behind bottomless pits and the physical constraints that make them so implausible. First, we need to consider the structure of the Earth itself. The planet's outermost layer, the crust, is relatively thin, ranging from about 3 miles under oceans to around 25 miles thick beneath continents. Beneath the crust lies the mantle, a layer of hot, semi-solid rock that extends for about 1,800 miles. As you descend deeper, temperature and pressure increase dramatically. By the time you reach just a few miles underground, the heat is intense enough to melt most materials. At greater depths, the pressure is so extreme that it would crush any cavity or tunnel, even if it were reinforced. The Kola super-deep borehole, drilled by Soviet scientists in the 1970s, holds the record as the deepest man-made hole. After 20 years of drilling, it reached a depth of about 40,230 feet, or 7.6 miles. This is less than half the depth Mel claimed for his hole, and the project faced immense challenges. At such depths, temperatures soared to nearly 365 degrees Fahrenheit, and the rock itself became plastically deformed under the immense pressure. The project was ultimately abandoned because the conditions made further drilling impossible. Given these constraints, the idea of a naturally occurring hole extending 80,000 feet or more into the Earth raises immediate red flags. Geologists have pointed out that even if such a pit could exist, its walls would inevitably collapse under the weight of the overlying material. Moreover, there's no known mechanism in nature that could create and maintain a vertical shaft of that depth without it filling in over time. Then there's the matter of sound. When objects are dropped into a deep hole, they create sound waves that can provide clues about the depth and characteristics of the pit. In the case of Mel's hole, witnesses claimed that items thrown in simply disappeared without a trace. No sound, no echo. While this adds to the mystique, it's also scientifically implausible. Even in the deepest mines and boreholes, sound eventually bounces back, revealing the dimensions of the space. The complete absence of sound would suggest conditions that don't align with known physics. But what if Mel's hole isn't a naturally occurring phenomenon? What if it's the result of something artificial or even theoretical? Some have speculated about the possibility of a gravitational anomaly at the site, a region where the normal effects of gravity are somehow distorted. In theory, such an anomaly could create the illusion of an endless drop by bending spacetime in a way that continuously redirects objects falling into it. While this idea is fascinating, there's no evidence to suggest that gravitational anomalies of this scale exist on Earth. Another intriguing hypothesis involves the concept of a wormhole, a theoretical shortcut through spacetime that could connect distant points in the universe. If Mel's hole were a wormhole, it might explain the reports of objects disappearing or reappearing in altered forms. Wormholes are a staple of science fiction, but they also have roots in real scientific theories, particularly in Einstein's equations of general relativity. However, creating and sustaining a wormhole would require exotic matter with negative energy, a substance that has yet to be observed or proven to exist. Ultimately, the scientific perspective on Mel's hole points to one inescapable conclusion. As described, it is almost certainly an impossibility within the framework of known physics. Yet science also teaches us to approach the unknown with curiosity and humility. The absence of evidence isn't necessarily evidence of absence. While Mel's hole may defy the laws of nature, it also invites us to reconsider the limits of what we know. For now, the scientific community remains skeptical, but the allure of the unknown continues to draw us in. Could there be an explanation we haven't yet uncovered? Or is Mel's hole simply a modern myth, a product of human imagination fueled by our desire to believe in something beyond the ordinary? What if Mel's hole is more than a geological anomaly? What if it's not a hole in the earth, but a rupture in the fabric of reality itself, a doorway to another dimension? This theory, while speculative, is one of the most intriguing aspects of the legend, and it draws from both cutting-edge physics and the expansive realms of science fiction and philosophy. To explore this possibility, we need to understand the concept of interdimensionality. In physics, dimensions refer to the measurable aspects of our universe, such as length, width, height, and time. Humans exist in a three-dimensional world, with time acting as the fourth dimension. But many theories in modern physics, such as string theory, suggest that additional dimensions may exist, dimensions that are hidden from our perception, but are just as real as the ones we experience. String theory, for instance, proposes that the universe may have up to 11 dimensions, some of which are compacted into tiny, imperceptible spaces. If these dimensions exist, they could theoretically host entirely separate realities, each governed by its own physical laws. These alternate dimensions, or parallel universes, might be isolated from ours, or they could be interconnected, with certain phenomena, like wormholes, acting as bridges between them. Could Mel's hole be one of these bridges? The behavior attributed to the pit, objects vanishing without a trace or reappearing in altered forms, aligns with popular depictions of interdimensional portals. If the hole truly connects to another realm, it might explain why conventional tools like fishing lines and sound waves fail to provide any meaningful feedback. These phenomena could represent interactions with a dimension where our understanding of matter and energy no longer applies. Theories about interdimensional portals are speculative, but they aren't entirely unfounded. In 2019, physicists working at Oak Ridge National Laboratory in Tennessee attempted to detect what they called a mirror universe. They hypothesized that particles might occasionally leak into this parallel dimension, creating observable anomalies in particle behavior. While their experiments didn't yield conclusive results, They underscore the scientific community's growing interest in exploring the boundaries of reality. From a cultural standpoint, interdimensional travel has long captured the human imagination. Science fiction is filled with stories of characters stepping through portals into alternate worlds, from the sliding universes of Sliders to the multiverse adventures of Rick and Morty. These narratives often explore the philosophical implications of other dimensions. What would life look like under different physical laws? How would encountering another universe challenge our understanding of existence? Philosophically, the concept of interdimensionality raises profound questions. If Mel's hole is a portal, what does that say about the nature of reality? Could there be infinite versions of ourselves, living out every possible variation of our choices? And if such dimensions are accessible, what responsibilities would come with crossing into them? Skeptics, of course, argue that interdimensional travel is more fantasy than science. They point out that even the most advanced theoretical models are purely mathematical, with no experimental evidence to support the existence of parallel worlds or portals. Without hard data, the idea of Mel's hole as a gateway to another dimension remains firmly in the realm of speculation. Yet this very skepticism may be part of the mystery's allure. The possibility of interdimensional travel invites us to confront the limits of human knowledge and wonder what lies beyond. Is Mel's hole a doorway to the unknown, or is it merely a reflection of our desire to believe in something extraordinary? As we unravel this theory, we're left with more questions than answers. But perhaps that's the point. The idea of another dimension isn't just about what might exist. It's about how we imagine the unimaginable and what it says about our need to explore the unknown. In the years since Mel Waters' infamous radio broadcast, Mel's hole has transcended its origins, becoming a modern legend that blurs the line between fact and fiction. It has captured the public's imagination, woven its way into popular culture, and become a focal point for discussions about the unknown. But how did this obscure tale of a mysterious pit grow into such an enduring part of our collective consciousness? The answer lies partly in the way stories like Mel's hole resonate with universal human curiosity. For centuries, cultures around the world have told tales of bottomless pits, mysterious voids, and portals to other realms. From the underworld of Greek mythology to the well of hell in Yemen, the concept of a deep, unknowable chasm evokes both awe and dread. These stories often serve as metaphors for our fears of the unknown and the unseen forces that might lie just beneath the surface of our world. Mel's hole tapped into these timeless themes, but its rise to prominence in modern folklore was propelled by media. The late 1990s were a golden age for paranormal and conspiracy programming, with shows like The X-Files and Unsolved Mysteries capturing the public's fascination with the unexplained. The radio show Coast to Coast AM, where Mel first shared his story, played a pivotal role in giving the legend its wings. Host Art Bell's platform was a haven for those intrigued by the bizarre and the supernatural, and the show's late-night audience was primed to embrace a tale as strange as Mel's hole. In the years that followed, Mel's hole took on a life of its own. Internet forums dedicated to the paranormal lit up with speculation, fan theories, and alleged eyewitness accounts. Some claimed to have visited the area near Ellensburg, Washington, in search of the pit, while others shared unverified photographs of supposed evidence. These digital discussions transformed Mel's hole into a kind of crowdsourced myth where each new detail, real or imagined, added to the mystique. Artists and storytellers also embraced the legend, using it as a canvas for exploring deeper themes. In 2008, the Grand Central Art Center in Santa Ana, California, hosted an exhibition titled Aspects of Mel's Hole. Artists respond to a paranormal land event occurring in radio space. The exhibition featured works that interpreted the hole as a symbol of mystery, transcendence, and the interplay between belief and skepticism. This creative reimagining of the legend further cemented its status as a cultural touchstone. Podcasts and web series have continued to keep the story alive, dissecting its details and speculating on its implications. Some programs focus on scientific debunking, while others lean into the more fantastical elements, treating Mel's Hole as a springboard for discussing interdimensional travel, government cover-ups, and the nature of reality itself. These explorations often blend humor, wonder, and critical thinking, ensuring that the legend remains as engaging as ever. The cultural resonance of Mel's Hole is further fueled by its open-endedness. Unlike other urban legends that come with definitive origins or conclusions, the story of Mel's Hole offers no clear answers. Its very ambiguity invites people to project their own beliefs, fears, and hopes onto it. Is it a portal to another dimension? A government experiment gone wrong? Or simply a modern myth, crafted to entertain and provoke thought? The lack of resolution makes it a fertile ground for imagination. In many ways, Mel's Hole reflects our modern relationship with mystery. In an age where information is at our fingertips and answers seem only a Google search away, stories like this remind us that some questions remain unanswerable. They challenge us to embrace uncertainty and to find meaning not in the answers, but in the act of exploring the unknown. As we move forward, Mel's Hole continues to inspire. Whether through art, media, or late-night conversations, it persists as a symbol of the human desire to look beyond the horizon and ask, what if? Mel's Hole has become a hotbed of conspiracy theories, each more provocative than the last. The sheer scope of speculation, from government intervention to extraterrestrial connections, suggests that this mysterious pit is more than just a geological anomaly. What if the story of Mel's Hole isn't just an urban legend, but a thread unraveling a much larger tapestry of hidden truths? One of the most enduring conspiracy theories involves the alleged involvement of the U.S. government. According to Mel Waters, shortly after he publicized his discovery, his property was seized under mysterious circumstances. He claimed that heavily armed officials erected a perimeter around the hole, forbidding access to anyone, including himself. Mel alleged that he was approached with an offer he couldn't refuse: a large financial settlement in exchange for leaving the area and keeping quiet about what he had found. To make matters even stranger, Mel claimed he was relocated to Australia, as if the authorities wanted him as far away from the site as possible. This story raises unsettling questions. What could the government be hiding? If the hole is nothing more than an ordinary pit, why the secrecy? Some theorists believe that the hole may be part of a classified research project, perhaps involving advanced physics, energy experiments, or even interdimensional studies. Others speculate that the pit's unusual properties, such as its apparent depth and strange effects on objects, could make it a powerful tool for technological or military applications. Adding fuel to the fire are rumors of unexplained phenomena linked to the site. Witnesses have described strange electromagnetic disturbances around the area, with some claiming that electronic devices failed to function properly near the hole. There are even accounts of time distortions, where watches allegedly run slower or faster when brought close to the pit. Could this be evidence of a gravitational anomaly or some other form of exotic energy? Or could the hole be a portal to a parallel universe, where the normal rules of time and space break down? Some conspiracy theorists draw connections between Mel's Hole and ancient myths of bottomless pits or gateways to other worlds. Across cultures, there are countless stories of chasms that lead to the underworld or other dimensions. Could Mel's Hole be a remnant of some long-lost technology, built by an advanced civilization that understood the secrets of the Earth better than we do? Supporters of this idea point to the recurring theme of deep, mysterious caverns in folklore, suggesting that Mel's Hole may be part of a hidden network of similar sites scattered across the globe. Another theory posits that Mel's Hole could be linked to extraterrestrial activity. Some have speculated that the pit might be a landing site or portal for alien visitors, who use its unknown properties to enter or exit our world. Reports of objects thrown into the hole reappearing in altered forms have been interpreted as evidence of interaction with alien technology or even otherworldly dimensions. The notion of extraterrestrial involvement is tantalizing, concealing the truth to avoid mass panic or disruption. Yet the most extreme theories suggest that Mel's Hole is not just a curiosity, it's dangerous. Some believe the pit may be a direct passage to a hostile dimension or an ancient underworld. According to this theory, the government's intervention wasn't merely an attempt to suppress information, but an effort to contain something potentially catastrophic. What if the hole is a gateway to a realm inhabited by entities beyond our comprehension? Could it be a site of paranormal activity, where the boundaries between life and death, reality and illusion begin to blur? Perhaps the most unsettling theory ties Mel's Hole to secret government experiments. Some have speculated that the site might be part of a classified program involving advanced weapons or technologies, such as zero-point energy or gravitational manipulation. If the hole is an anomaly that defies physics, it could represent a treasure trove of scientific opportunities, or a Pandora's box of unintended consequences. This idea is bolstered by Mel's claim that the government not only seized the site, but went to great lengths to erase any trace of its existence, as well as his own. Of course, skeptics argue that these theories are built on speculation rather than evidence. No concrete proof of the hole's location, much less its properties, has ever been presented. But for believers, the very absence of evidence becomes part of the conspiracy. Why has no one been able to locate the pit? Why are there no records of Mel Waters or his property? To them, these questions don't disprove the legend. They suggest a cover-up of monumental proportions. The sheer variety of conspiracy theories surrounding Mel's Hole speaks to the power of its mystery. Whether it's a secret experiment, a dimensional portal, or an artifact of an ancient civilization, the legend challenges us to imagine what might lie hidden beneath the surface of our world. If even one of these theories is true, it could rewrite our understanding of physics, history, and reality itself. For now, the answers remain elusive, and Mel's Hole continues to provoke more questions than it resolves. But perhaps that's what makes it so compelling, a mystery that dares us to peer into the abyss and wonder what might be staring back. Mel's Hole is more than a story about a bottomless pit. It's a mystery that challenges the boundaries of what we know and dares us to question the fabric of our reality. Over the course of this exploration, we've examined the origins of the legend, the scientific impossibilities, the tantalizing theories of interdimensional travel, its place in modern folklore, and the web of conspiracy theories that have grown around it. And yet, the heart of the mystery remains as elusive as ever. Why does the story of Mel's Hole endure? Perhaps it's because it taps into something universal, the thrill of the unknown. In a world where so much seems explainable, the idea that there might still be uncharted mysteries hidden in the corners of our reality is irresistible. Mel's Hole offers us a puzzle with no clear answers, a blank canvas for our imaginations to fill with possibilities both wondrous and terrifying. But it also forces us to confront difficult questions. What would it mean if such a phenomenon were real? Could we accept the implications of a gateway to another dimension, or evidence of a cover-up so vast that it erases the truth from public record? And perhaps the most unsettling question of all, if a place like Mel's Hole exists, what else might be lurking out there, beyond the edges of our understanding? The beauty of this mystery lies in its ambiguity. There is no definitive proof that Mel's Hole exists, yet there's also no way to fully disprove it. The lack of resolution leaves room for endless interpretation, inviting each of us to form our own conclusions. For some, it's a fascinating urban legend. For others, it's a portal to deeper truths about science, history, and the limits of human knowledge. As we reflect on the mystery of Mel's Hole, it's worth considering what it says about us as individuals and as a society. Are we driven by a need to uncover the truth, or are we drawn to the idea of mysteries that can never be fully solved? In seeking answers, do we risk missing the point, the joy of simply asking the questions? In the end, Mel's Hole is less about what it is and more about what it represents. It's a symbol of curiosity, of our insatiable desire to explore the unknown, and of the stories we create to make sense of a world that often defies explanation. Whether it's a bottomless pit, a portal to another dimension, or simply a tale spun for the airwaves, Mel's Hole reminds us of the infinite possibilities that exist when we dare to look deeper. So, what do you believe? Is Mel's hole a gateway to another world, a scientific anomaly, or an elaborate hoax? The answer isn't as important as the journey it inspires, a journey into the depths of mystery, imagination, and the human spirit. And who knows, maybe somewhere in the forests of Washington state, a hole still waits, its secrets buried in the darkness, daring someone to discover the truth.